Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. Y'all saw the thumbnail. If you speak it, you shall receive it. But before we get into all of that, put my banners up. I know the drill. It's turn two. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. I see my internet is up and running on time, just like I like it. But y'all know at the beginning of the show, we always do a water check, and the importance of drinking water. Um, if you don't drink water, hardly ever, then there's two times out the day that you should drink water. It's a strong suggestion. You know, water is a sustainer, just like salt and sunlight. But first thing in the morning before your toes hit the ground, if you think of your body as an engine and water is its lube, you should drink your water, at least 8 ounces. First thing in the morning, because you're getting up, moving parts and all, you need your water. The second most important time to drink water is at night when you're going to sleep. Not when you're looking at TV, not when you're doing something else, you know what I'm saying? But when you're really falling into a deep sleep, you should drink 8 ounces of water. It's actually good for your heart. There's a lot of reads going on when you're going to sleep. You're rejuvenating, rebooting, recharging, and most people burn between 900 to 1,000 calories at night when they sleep. All of that stuff, you need water. Plus, drinking the water at night will help you flush out everything you need to flush out during the morning, like toxin. And you know it's going to come out through using the bathroom first thing in the morning. So here at Boxing Fans Talk TV, we advocate for at least 100 ounces of water per day. Now, hopefully, we can all get up to a gallon. And yes, you could drink a gallon. You could take one of the smallest adults, somebody that weigh probably like 115, and they could drink a gallon of water a day. You know, your body is 70% water. You guys already know all this stuff, but I just like to repeat it. because I would like us as Americans, especially, to get back into drinking water. It's so important for your health. Y'all saw the thumbnail. If you speak it, you shall receive it. And that's how I feel about Anthony Yard. He spoke it and he received it. Didn't seem that hard. It really didn't. It didn't seem that hard. I had saw a clip on him the other day talking about how he wanted the winner of Joe Smith Jr. and Perturbia. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I've heard of you, Yard, but I like to say Yardy, but I guess his name is pronounced Yard. I don't know. But I was like, you just because you want that fight, that don't mean you gonna get it. Not like Yard is a well known fighter. He's known, but to casuals, he might not be known. But he was like, I could beat both of them. And he was very convincing in his belief that he could beat both of them. But he spoke it into existence, it seems. Now, this ain't no guarantee because nowadays in boxing, until the people get in the ring, you won't believe it. Sometimes you can't believe it. And we don't fiddle daddle with, the smaller fights. But Berturbia is a 3-belt champion now. So he don't fall into the realm of a small, unknown fighter. Out of all the fights that he's had, he won by knockout. It ain't many. And, it's kind of weird because this man is 37 years old. So you're like, where you been? He's like an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? Talking about Berturbia. But, hey, nonetheless, his pro record is 18 wins, 18 by knockout. So, Yardy seems to think he's ready for it. And he'd rather fight Berturbia than Bivol because Berturbia have more belts. I like this course correction in boxing now, where these boxers are really vying for undisputed. As I always named it and claimed it, the Super Bowl of boxing. Yeah, we want them to go for the undisputed. We want them to go for championship belts. We want them to go for unified championships. And most definitely, we want them to be undisputed. Because that's going to cement your legacy. That's going to ensure that people know you long after you leave the sport of boxing. And so we hope that all fighters get on that bandwagon and start going that way. See, the problem is a lot of fighters got caught up in the Mayweather era. Instead of understanding that what was for Mayweather was for Mayweather. Mayweather was really blessed. When he says that, I believe it. He was really blessed. He was chosen to have the career that he has and get all the wins that he had. But he didn't rely on just being gifted. He worked hard at that shit. As his father always say, come on Mayweather Sr., he been growing them since here. Y'all know what he mean when he said that. Because he was grabbing his nuts when he said it. That's some funny shit right there. But anyway, back to Berturbia. So promoter Frank Warren has confirmed that the WBO 175 division has a mandatory challenger in Yardy. I'm going to say Yardy. It's just more comfortable. He has a mandatory in Yardy. The fight will take place October 22nd, 2022, this year in London, England. Now, first of all, Berturbia is from Canada. So I'm cool. You know what I like about him? He don't be on that like right away. I gotta go back to Canada. Canada, sorry y'all. Sorry, Canada. Not really the mecca of boxing. But Berturbia fights most of his fights in the States. He is Russian. But Yardy was like, no, you coming to my home turf. And I don't even know how he gathered the spit in his mouth to even say that. because he don't even have a belt. But nonetheless, that's how he wanted it. They say some fans are not pressed for this fight. Some people ain't really pressed for it because they feel like Viterbi gonna watch him real easy. And why go through all that when you could just go to Bivol and get it on there? But Frank Warren did say with the caveat that if Beterbiev, or maybe Bob said this, if they, the situation with Beterbiev, if he wants to fight Bivol, then they'll be understanding. Because after all, for the Super Bowl, right? That's who Beterbiev called out at the end of his fight. That's who Bivol called out at the end of his fight. Both of them on the same page when they had that fight. It's like they want to be undisputed. They want to go to the Super Bowl. Now Frank Warren and them do stipulate that the contracts just need to be signed. In order for to take this thing through fruition, that all that's needed is some contracts to be signed. But see, I see something more in this transaction. For some reason, I believe they, being the powers that be, will prefer the fight with Canelo and Bivol versus a fight with Beterbiev and Bivol. And I think the powers that be makes their moves and do all the things that they do for one simple reason. It's money. And it's weird to me because in reality, promoters, sanctioning bodies, managers, they work for the fighter. They actually work for the fighter. But you know how they say in politics, some people run their business like a plantation. I'm starting to see here lately in boxing why some people compare it to slavery. Whether they talking about wages or just treatment. And I don't mean to be flippant with that. And I don't mean to be loose lips with that. Comparing stuff to slavery, because that is a serious, thing that happened in American history. What I mean by comparing it to slavery is they seem to have a master, overseer type existence with their fighters. It seemed like the fighter, who is the product, who is the hot ticket item, who is the person that we all pay to go see and pay to see on TV, like they work for them, the powers that be. When I say the powers that be, y'all know I'm talking about sanctioning bodies, managers, promoters, one or two or three, all three. That's what I mean by powers that be. So it do seem like a slavery type relationship. Not in the arduous work, not in the whole sense of the word, but just, the promoters act like they the master. And managers do too. Sanctioning bodies is greedy as hell. They like the overseers and shit. Everybody got to say, but the fighter. So I'm going to be watching this whole situation and transaction real close, because Beterbiev have said he want undisputed. Bivol have said he want undisputed. So why shouldn't it happen? Which brings me to my thumbnail when I say, if you speak it, you shall receive it. Now, we've been wanting fights, not getting them, and we see a slight course correction going down in boxing. All this marinating the fight and waiting years and stuff is crazy. A lot can happen from day to day. You can walk out your house and get hit by a bus and be gone. Anything. You could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. You could get sick. Anything can happen. You could lose your titles fighting somebody else. So when you have great matchups or fights that the fans want to see, there's no time like the present. It'll always be fights that you can put together that fans would clamor to see. It's never ending. It's enough boxers out there, but that can really be a case where you don't have to marinate too long. Now, I'm not saying a little marination. Maybe you take as much as a year to let a fight build up. But past the year, no. Fighters are not fighting often as they used to. Let me give you a hint of that. Again, we're coming out the Floyd Mayweather era. And a lot of people want to fashion themselves like Floyd. They either want to be money made, the one with all the money and stuff, or they want to be TV, but they be missing the important steps that this man took on his rise in his career. I want to pull up his box rack. So look, Floyd Mayweather went pro October 7th, 1996. He fought Roberto Apodaca. Right? He didn't get his first where is it? He didn't get his first belt or championship belt until October of 98. He got a WBC. And they threw Floyd in with some good opponents. Right here in the beginning, they started him out like everybody else. This fight right here is, I don't even know who this person is. Tony Duran. He had 15 losses. Lord. Person had 11. So Floyd had a couple of tomato cans, and I hate to say that, but I gotta say it. He had a couple. But the point is, look at the dates. In 1996, he fought, if his debut was in October, he fought November. And then just starting off the new year, he took December off. He fought January, February, March, April, May, June, July. He took a month off in August, September, October, November. 97, he fought 10 out of 12 months that year. Now, Floyd has said, I don't know if it's true or not, maybe right here with his debut, he got $7,000 in fighting. Now, mind you, Floyd was a decorated amateur, and then he went into the Olympics, and most folks believe he was robbed of a gold medal. But he had a name when he came out. So Floyd wasn't at the bottom of the barrel making $500 fights or $1,000 fights. He was actually fighting for a little bit of change. But Floyd said he's seen his days of $5,000, $7,000 fights or whatever, low wage fights. But if you look at it, when he started till about 2000, that's 4 years. I'm gonna show you. Hold on. It started slowing up in 98. Look at all the 98s. Then in 99, he had 1, 2, 3 fights. Then in 2000, he had 3. Then 2001, he had 2. So for about 4 years, Floyd fought all the time. Now we know when you fight, if you get a cut, you got to sit down for a minute. If you get concussed, you got to sit down for a minute. There's time limits. If you break your hand, you got to sit down for a minute. So all I'm making the point is when he was fighting all those times, and let's say on average, he made between 50,000 to 100,000. All these times fighting 10 months out of a year, you multiply that by 50. I mean, he making damn near $500,000. This is how, like, even though you're not getting paid a lot, you fight often, right? Same thing like with credit. Even though your credit is bad, right? You get something cheap so you can pay off, but the best, the lesser of the evils are the cheap cars or whatever you buy, so you can pay it off quick. Like it's a method to the madness, right? But the point I'm making with this, in comparison to Yarde getting his way, Floyd got in there. He spoke it. He got in there, and it happened. But I believe somewhat in his career, I believe that they was throwing Floyd to the wolves. Like they wasn't like trying to guard him and slow walk him like he does to Tank Davis. They was actually letting Floyd get in there with some folks that could have derailed all his shit. Now Yarde, I don't know him to be this spectacular fighter. I know him to be a great fighter, a good fighter, but I don't know him to be this spectacular fighter. And then you got Beterbiev, and this dude, I'm calling him the Terminator too. That's the Terminator, aka Michael Myers. No matter what you do, this dude don't stop. He keep coming for you. And if Frank Warren or Bob Arum got their way, as I say, they treat it like a plantation, then we gotta listen to what they got to say. Because I know Bob Arum and Frank Warren will probably prefer that Beterbiev fight Yarde. They want to juice as much money as they can out of him. I don't even know what promoter that Beterbiev roll with, but I know that they probably want to juice him for as much money as they can. It's almost like if I can make this much money with this guy fighting, virtually nobody's or people that's not that notable. Not saying Yarde is a nobody because he's not, but somebody who's not that notable. Imagine what I'm gonna make when we do put him in with somebody notable, and that's what they banking on. That's what they be banking on, and that's not good for the boxing fans. We want our fighters to go to the Super Bowl. If not, we want them to get a championship belt. We want them to be unified. We definitely want them to be undisputed. And as I said, this is the overlap that all us YouTube content creators who talk about boxing can have and be okay with. We all want to see them fight the best. We all want to see that. We want to see them go for the glory. You know what I'm saying? We want to see that. So we should always advocate that is how things map itself out. But when you start putting the powers that be into the mix, we got to go by what they want to see, how they feel about the situation. But nobody's a fan of Mauricio Sulaiman. Nobody's a fan of Bob Arum. Nobody's a fan of Oscar De La Hoya or Mayweather Promotions or the other one, Eddie Hearn. We don't pay to come see them. We pay to come see the fighters, and it should be what the fighters want. Which I want y'all to take notice. As I said, Beterbiev and Bivol have expressed interest in becoming undisputed, and the only way that can happen is if them two meet. The barriers that I see, this is when I say the favoritism comes rolling in. This is when I say, the powers that be overstepping, in my opinion. You guys work for the fighters. It shouldn't be that the fighters work for you. We're not paying to see y'all. But but in a sense, we paying for what they want to give us. Because if the fighters express an interest in becoming undisputed, then that's the logical step. That's the next logical step. That's the only rational step. I mean, even if they didn't express it, you would think that is the next logical step. And right now, the era is, it has a course correction. We have a lot of people on deck trying to become undisputed, trying to get a legacy, trying to go for the glory, and earn those awards. The barrier that I see between Yarde getting his wish, but let Frank Warren tell it, it's a done deal. It's pretty much wrapped up. All that's needed, and this is what he said, all that's needed is for the contract to be signed. And he does throw a caveat in that if Viterbo wants to go the Bivol route, they understand. Now that's saving face. But really, if we see a fight between Beterbiev and Yarde, then the suits won. They absolutely won. Because Canelo's still their boy. In their mind, Canelo brings money to them. He's a sure bet. That's what they feel. But then at times you see where he's not a sure bet, and they can tell. That's why he had the problems with his contracts, and he had to sue folks. And of course, if they not living up to a contract, you as a fighter have every right to sue them. But their complaints not siding with either one. I don't care which one. I ain't got a dog in the race. But their complaints is they're paying him all these millions, and he not even making it back for them. So what happens when you're paying somebody $40 and $50 million, but their fights are barely making 15 million or 20? In business, that's not a good thing. Business 101, period. That's not a good thing. You're putting out more than what you're actually taking in. And that's the issue if these promoters and people Canelo work with is being honest. When he had that Caleb Plant fight, he didn't make a whole gobs of money as to what they put out. They paid him 40. They gave Caleb 10. They barely, if that, broke even. That is not a good business model. But that's what happens with Canelo. Now, Canelo can bring money in other ways. He does bring money. But for what he's asking, no. And I hate to bring race into it, but I have to, because I see what I see. Sometimes people can have do racist actions, whether it's, I'm talking racist meaning that superiority thing, and not even know it. You don't even question Canelo. You know you lose money with him, in a sense, like you break even or you barely make a little bit more than what you paid out. That's what I mean by losing money. Canelo brings money in for sure, but it's not a match to what they paying him. So it's a loss. That's what I mean by a loss. He makes more in pay-per-view than everybody, most people. I don't know about Deontay Wilder, or AJ or somebody like that, but he makes money. He has higher pay-per-view numbers than Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. However, what they pay him is not a match. So it's a loss. You have to count that as a loss. But they don't flinch. It's a no-brainer. It's a anyway. You're not going to get Canelo unless you're talking $40 million and upwards. At worst, 30-something million dollars. But he don't make that kind of money to pay him that much. Can you imagine Errol Spence asking for that? Or Bud asking for that? Then you get real technical. They get real technical. It's that superiority. It's like I said, it's that rapport, that relationship, that tug of war of master and overseer type, running it like a plantation. Look what George Kambosos was able to do. Can you think of a black fighter that could have called that shot? I can't think of one. They would hit him with the logic and the numbers. And I'm not saying they wrong, but I just don't understand why they don't do that across the board. George Kambosos made $10 million. You think George Kambosos is worth $10 million? While Devin Haney made what, two? You think that's a fair assessment? And then to throw insult to injury, when they run it back, it's the same setup. George would still make more. You think Devin could have orchestrated a deal like that? You think Bud could have did that? You think Earl could have did that? You think Shakur Stevens? No, you get real by the books when it comes to black fighters. That is something that I do notice. But that's everyday life. That's everywhere. So complaining about it and crying about it is kind of moot. You do mention it. You have to mention it. But to sit there and take it, no, you don't have to take it. You keep charging forward and hopefully things change. Now with Floyd Mayweather, the reason why I bring him up in comparison, because he's a person that can say that shit. But when Floyd fights, everybody makes money. You can justify paying Floyd 30, 40, $50 million, $100 million. You can justify that shit. Floyd, every time he fought in the latter part of his career, brought $1 million to Vegas. I mean, not a million, billion. $1 billion to Vegas. Everybody who had a business was happy to see Floyd coming because they knew they was going to be on the come up. They probably could sell out their inventory, whether you ran a restaurant or a mom and pop store or whatever. You knew you was going to make your money. Look at what's going on. This is what I mean, like that relationship, that master overseer, and it's not always just regulated to black fighters. They will stiff you if they can, but it seemed to me that white fighters and some Mexican fighters be having this privilege that everybody else don't have. It has to be said. It has to be pointed out. There's no hate. Nobody's mad. I'm not mad. I'm not saying fuck them, shut the whole shit down. I'm not saying any of that. But Canelo gets a lot of privileges because he has the complexion for the protection. Period. He looks like a white guy. He's a proud Mexican. Let me make sure I say that. And that's a good thing. He does his race proud. But because of the way he looks, they roll out the carpet for him. They wouldn't do it for Mikey Garcia. Mikey took a loss. Y'all remember? He took a loss to Earl first and foremost. He should have known better. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he saw. He should have known better than get in there with Earl. But this guy, Sandor Martin, that he fought, Mikey took a loss. He made everybody feel a certain way about paying him millions that they paid him. And I think he got paid $7 million twice in 2 back-to-back fights or something. So Mikey was on that money grab and shit. As soon as he lost or took an L, they was done with his ass. But look at Canelo. They both Mexicans. What's the difference? They're not going to treat Canelo like that. Lomachenko got way more money than they report. I think Lomachenko said, stop reporting my net worth. Lomachenko has never had a sense of urgency to me in his career where he wanted to be on pay-per-view. Have y'all noticed that? Am I the only one that noticed that? Most fighters get on, they happy to get on the network and shine and showcase their talent. But then they all be urgent or working towards trying to be a pay-per-view star. Not Lomachenko. I'm telling y'all, when they came up with that old nut shit, talking about Lomachenko was better than Floyd and this, that, and the other back in the day, I was like, who is this Lomachenko? And I did a dumpster dive of information on Lomachenko. And I was like, one of the first things I pulled up inadvertently is I saw his network. And at that time, this is way back before 2015. He was worth $25 million back then. I stand by that. I do not forget that shit. I stand by that. Lomachenko looking at it like, shit, I'm having fun. I'm whooping motherfuckers' asses. I'm popular, famous, but he stated himself. He's a family man. You don't hear too much about him. He's a decent guy. Why be pressed for all that other shit? Look at what he getting. Who would have thought it? That's what he probably thinking. From whence I came, who would have thought it? But look at how the suits. We was making a course correction. The reason why I bring all this up because in the last I don't know however many months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever, we've been a lot of YouTube content creators. We've been talking all of us at one point in time and another about you know the things that need to be corrected in boxing and how the suits or the powers that be seem like they got more leverage and control over the fighters, which they just feel that they could just throw anything at us. Like do stuff right in broad daylight in front of your face, and people not going to question it. And I would say we as content creators, we're all individually and collectively doing a good job because we're making them course correct. And that's what we should do. We should always get on here and advocate and point out the inconsistencies when we see them. So to promote or advocate for them to do course corrections. And that's all I'm doing right now with this news. Beterbiev and Bivol have a chance to make history for themselves. The only thing, in my opinion, that's standing in the way, it's not Yarde. Yarde is right to want to get an opportunity to unass them belts off of Beterbiev. He right to want to do that. The barrier is going to be what the suits want. Because in my opinion, the one thing that could stop the suits from getting what they want is if Canelo speak it and put his foot down, which they still will give him leverage. They still look at him like he's the cash cow. If Canelo do not want the rematch with Bivol, then it won't happen. But right now, they on the course of Triple G this September and Bivol maybe that December or maybe the beginning of the year. That's what the suits want. Because in their mind, the second time around with Bivol is really going to generate some money. And that's what it's all about for them. Now, do Canelo have a right to be on that pathway in his career? I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to keep the same energy. I don't have a problem with people doing a money grab in their boxing career. Because you put a lot into that craft. You dedicate so many hours. You give so much effort. You cannot be the great boxer, like the creme de la creme, and be a great husband and great father. So you're making a lot of sacrifices with your families. Maybe you stand to yourself and you're not even trying to settle down and have a family. That's a big sacrifice. So boxers make a big sacrifice. So I'm not mad at them for going on a money grab, but not in the beginning of their career. That's the only thing. PGH Big Dog is in the building. What's poppin', King? He says, salute, Queen T. Salute to you too, King. So when we talking Canelo been fighting since he was 15. He's in his early 30s now. So he been fighting about 17 years because I think he's 32. If that's the case, he's coming up on the latter side of his career. Because you never know in boxing when said fighter is going to take the decline. Paulie Malignaggi was about Canelo's age. We clearly could see. Hang it up, Paulie. Some fighters can go a long time, like Floyd, like D-Hop, like what's the heavyweight? George Foreman. Everybody can't do it. Some folks can, but clearly, closer you get to mid 30s, you're pretty much on the decline. Once you cross the 30-year-old threshold, your decline is starting, even if you don't see it. So Canelo, has he earned the right to kind of be on the decline and just go for the money? Being fair, I'm gonna say yes. He is not somebody I will be upset and be like, "Hey, what you doing?" I don't like Canelo for other reasons. Y'all know it. I'm not gonna repeat it. But being fair, yeah, he has a right to be like that. So Canelo is the one that's going to stand between Beterbiev and Yarde, or Beterbiev and Bivol. If you go by what Bivol and Beterbiev has said to Russians, they won't at each other because they want undisputed. Yarde wants an opportunity, and he ain't wrong for wanting that. Bob Arum and Frank Warren, who seem like they got some kind of control over Beterbiev and Yarde, they want them two to fight. The Seuss want that. They want to juice as much as they can before they give you the Super Bowl, which we as boxing fans have showed and expressed our disdain for always going that far with it. Sure, marinate, but as I said, anything more than a year is too much. A lot can happen in a day, not alone years. Enough with the marination. But like I said, Frank Warren and Bob Arum having their paws on it, Yardy might just get his wish. And I will find that remarkable. He struck lightning in a bottle if he get his wish. Because, like I said, just before the fight, Pateria and Joe Smith fight. Like, I don't know if it was a day or the day of. Yardy was saying or proclaiming he want the winner of either one. He was convincingly saying he could beat them both. And he pointed to his speed and know-how in the ring. Not to mention he has a little pop in his hand. He got a little, he could crack. So he feel like both of them too slow for him. We saw that Beterbiev got on his boxing shoes that night, as opposed to most other nights. He was moving around. He was going backwards. He was a little befuddled in the beginning because Joe Smith is a dog. He was coming at him. But Beterbiev outboxed him. He really did. And because he got the power in his hands, man, once he hit you once, it's like all defenses fail. It's kind of like looking at Star Trek when soon as they shoot them photon torpedoes, uh, the captain always be like, shields, how's it holding? Shields is always a degradation. Just from one hit, two hit, several hits, whatever. It always go down in the percentage. But we got 80% shields. You just took one photon torpedo and you dropped the 80% shields, you know, holding up, that is. And that's Berturbia. As soon as he hit you, his opponent be dropping shields. His shields be going down with the quickness. And that's what happened with Joe Smith. He fought kind of reckless. He had a game plan. He was sticking that punch out in there. He should have stuck to that. But as soon as he abandoned it, that is just something a good fighter like Berturbia picked up. Oh, that bothered you, huh? And he went in for the kill. And we know Bivol can box. We know he can move and all that stuff. The question is, when you're facing Beterbiev, can you take his punch? And that's why Yarde looks like a good match. Because maybe Yarde can take it. And Yarde could give it. Maybe. Brown was doing a good job too. But he couldn't sustain. And maybe that will be the case with all Beterbiev's opponents. As I said yesterday, it would never shock me if they came back. And I like Beterbiev. I'm a fan. But it would never shock me if they came back and said, he was sipping on something. Because that dude is like the Terminator. However, hey, as long as he don't get caught, I'm not saying that that's the case. But, I'm just amazed that Yardy and them, they got a date, October 22nd, London, England, on Yardy's turf. How did Berterbia lose steam? Shouldn't it be on where Berterbia want to fight? You know, Berterbia have plenty of opportunities to fight in his country. I think he defected. I think he's a Canadian now. He has plenty of opportunity to fight up there, but he always seemed to fight in the States. So why or how is a fight between him and Yardy gonna go all the way to England instead of being in the States? Because sound like Viterbia got the upper hand. Should should have the upper hand. He's a champion. Yardy is not. Whether Yardy was before as has no bearing on the situation now. But I found that interesting. So that was some latest news. Like that to me, that turnaround was in days. It's very rare that you hear a boxer say, "I want the winner," and that's exactly what they're gonna get. So if you speak it, you shall receive it. That's Deontay Wilder's favorite thing to say, but it might start being Yardy's favorite thing to say too, because he spoke it and he's going to receive it. Say, "I want the winner," and now Frank Warren and Bob Arum assures us that they got the fight all wrapped up and ready to go. They just need to sign the contracts. And the only reason I tell you that if that happens, the only reason it happens is because the suits prefer Bivol and Canelo rematch. I mean, think about it. They just did a deal with Canelo to pay him upwards of 160 million. Really telling me that Canelo fights are worth that? They're not. I think this time around they put caveats in the contract with Canelo because, to my knowledge, he only got approximately $15 million in his fight with Bivol. Bivol got like a couple of million. Whether Bivol could spend it or whether it's on freeze because Russia is at war with Ukraine. I don't know what's going on with that because even though you fight in another country or you travel and you have fights and stuff, you still have to adhere to your country's laws. So whatever Bivol make, whatever taxes and all that stuff he's responsible for back home, then I guess he has to be. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why Beterbiev is now a citizen of Canada or something, because or he fights out of Canada. I mean, that's what I heard. That he lives. He called home now Canada. It's like that's why Uncle Sam could get at Pacquiao, because Pacquiao is not an American citizen, to my knowledge. But Pacquiao has to pay Uncle Sam when he come over here. And you ain't gonna stiff Uncle Sam. So if that fight don't go down with Yardy, Viterbia, that's because the suits won. But if they're able to do it, then that means Canelo won. And we have to pay attention to that because some fighters get to call the shots and course correct this slavery relationship. That's this plantation type. I ain't gonna say slavery, a plantation type relationship. These promoters, sanctioning bodies, and managers have with their fighters. I said, look at George Cambosa. Who was he before we knew him? Before he ever fought Tio, who was George Cambosa? Nobody never really even knew of him. Some people did. Some people did. I ain't gonna say never knew him. I certainly didn't. And I live, eat, breathe, sleep, boxing. I have never heard of him. He became the mandatory for Teofimo Lopez, and they fought. And I said when he won, the Teo had a bad night. I've always said that. Teo on his good day would demolish George Kambosos. But I say God, y'all can say how y'all higher power or whatever. But I always say, if you work at something diligently and you put all your time and effort to it, you know what I'm saying? God gonna reward you even if that's really not the place for you to be. I don't know how people stay in the same position years and years and years after the fact. Like if I start off at the bottom working at McDonald's, 10 years from now, I'm going to be the manager. It is what it is. I'm not staying at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna have that same job. I'm gonna elevate or move on. Even if your job doesn't change and you stay in the same position, I'm gonna elevate some kind of way. I'm gonna make more money. I came into the military, believe it or not, I used to get paid $250 on the 1st and 15th of every month. Bull crap you not. A lot of people say, oh, that can't be true. I'm telling you, when I came in, yes, the hell it was. I came in, I started off as an E1, but that's how much my checks were. But within months, I went to a little school and I got top performer. So they elevated me to E2. So I made a little bit extra. Still getting those type checks though, 250 after taxes and everything. But look at my checks right before I retired. It was a lot. I'm gonna just say that. A whole lot. It was mm. I've had checks. Lord have mercy. I don't even want to talk about it. Cause that make me sad because I be like, where that money at now? All them bonuses that I used to get. And the crazy part is I always had money when I used to get paid 250. Always had money. But and once you become a parent and you start having more responsibility, I always broke. I was getting paid a lot towards the end compared to when I came in. So I say all that to say what you start off with, if at the end of my career before I retired, I was still getting 250 every 2 weeks, that would be terrible. How do you do that for 20 years? How do you stay in the same spot for 20 years or 10 or 5? So even it doesn't matter what discipline you're talking about. A boxer's career, any elite athlete, it might not be for you. You might not ever become the creme de la creme, but you won't stay in the same spot. And I can prove it with all kinds of examples. You can look at Freddie Roach. Look at all the accolades that Freddie Roach has gotten in the sport of boxing. And Freddie Roach was a boxer. Sucked at it. Not that he didn't know what he was doing or the fundamentals. Obviously, he knew. He had no power. Boxing wasn't for him in that way. But because he started off on the ground floor like that, becoming a boxer, fighting good fights, whatever, he never was, I don't think he was ever an A level fighter. At best, he might have been a B minus fighter. I think Freddie Roach was probably a C level fighter. It's one thing to know all that knowledge, it's another thing to execute it. And he wasn't good at executing. But he also didn't have gifts. He didn't hit hard. It wasn't natural to him. I'm saying, but look what he did. He took them lemons and made lemonade. Freddie Roach is a millionaire. Freddie Roach has made his name in boxing. You will always remember Freddie Roach. If you're gonna remember Pacquiao and other notable fighters, you will always remember Freddie Roach. But had Freddie Roach just been a boxer, and that's all he was doing in the boxing game, you wouldn't even know who he is. But he's proof that you don't stay in the same spot, even though it wasn't for you. Some people, it's like they looking at stuff like you're just sellable, like how they do Berlinga. He's sellable. But I'm going to be watching how this plays out between Canelo, Bivol, and Beterbiev. Because logically and rationally, the next best step is Beterbiev and Bivol for their legacy. That's what it should be. But Bob and Frank Warren think it's their show. For them, they will probably prefer Yardy because that is going to be a good fight too. And it's going to make money and it has its risk. So why not do it double time? Because a lot of people probably really feel that Beterbiev will beat Yardy as well. Yardy has 2 losses. How many times do we see the Terminator get befuddled a little bit in his match because somebody's outboxing him or whatever? But the dude don't stop. If you got to take the Terminator out of him in order in order for you to win the battle. Yardy is not promising nothing about him that promises that he can sustain 12 rounds because we know that Beterbiev can. So, hey, you can make a good little piece of change, some pocket change, squeeze the juice as much as you can, and then come back to Bivol. But between Beterbiev and Canelo, who you think they're giving more leverage and more benefits of the doubt to? They're giving it to Canelo. It's Canelo's show. For some reason, they will rather see Triple G. None of us was really asking for that, by the way. Triple G has aged. Canelo's gonna wash his ass real easy. Probably within the first couple of rounds. I don't see it going past 3. To be honest, if Canelo wanted to. If Canelo just want to get in there and execute some rounds, just to have them on the books, he could do that. But I give him 3 rounds to get Triple G up out of there. And I'm not a big fan of either one. I don't hate Triple G, but I know Big Fish loves Triple G, but I'm not. I'm not a big fan of his. I don't dislike him either. I don't dislike Canelo. I'm just not a fan of his because of the cheating aspect, the cheating of it all. But look at how the suits. I point these things out because I want y'all to see the power moves that be going on. If Bivol and Beterbiev are not fighting in October, that was all thanks to the suits. Power that be. Not the fans. Not even the fighters. And that's a shame. So y'all watch out for that. In other news, anywho, y'all remember Jarrell Big Baby Miller? He's a back. He's a back. He has a fight with Ariel Esteban. Bracamonte. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. It's going to be on June 23rd. Now, that was a punishment for your ass when it concerns Jarrell Big Baby Miller. And don't get it twisted. Miss T is not advocating for him. I told y'all, I feel the same way for all cheaters. If you make it through your career, because I know people say, well, what about this fighter? Didn't you like that fighter? That fighter from the past? Yeah, I did. Well, how you feel? Because they cheated too. Well, sometimes you gotta be practical. And what I mean by that is, if they didn't get caught, what am I supposed to do? I don't have a lab or a test to give them. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no kind of power in boxing. So if they didn't get caught, because y'all know how I feel about Pacquiao, but I give Pacquiao his props. Pacquiao will not have an asterisk beside his name that I know about, and he's a Hall of Famer if he isn't already. That's weird. Oh well, he just retired not that long ago, last year. So the next one coming around, I probably expect to see Pacquiao in there. He is going to be a Hall of Famer. 8 division world champion, gave the world some great fights. Because even the type of cheating that these guys do, it doesn't affect how they fight, how they look, how they stand, how they throw their punches. That's not affected. It's other things. But Pacquiao never got caught. I can't say nothing. So if you a fighter who made it through your whole career and you never got hemmed up, really I can't say nothing. If I wasn't watching you back then, because I've always liked boxing, but there's a period of time in my life where I really wasn't impressed or looking at boxing like that. So if that was that time frame where I was impressed watching boxing, that I really don't have nothing to say. Guys, don't forget to hit the like and share and subscribe. Make a comment when you're watching on the replay too. And you know that leads when you step in my he's at. So that's my answer to the Roy Jones of the world, whoever else got caught or hemmed up. I watched them, but I wasn't watching like I watch now. But I tell you guys, you can't, I have a soft spot in my heart because even though you don't play boxing, you do it. Still a sport and it's entertainment. They're providing entertainment for us. Which is I take my hat off to any of them who get in the ring, guys and girls. That's a lot to ask of somebody to entertain us by putting your life on the line. And whenever people put their life on the line, I don't take it for granted. That's why I have the feelings have about voting. Anybody tell you not to vote, they're an idiot. They're an idiot and they're selfish. Period. Ain't no way around it. You selfish. If somebody chose to put their life in danger just so you can vote, and then you turn around and don't do it, it's a slap in the face. You're an idiot. When you can easily just go ahead and vote, might not be who you want, but then people want to grow a brain and say, "Oh, I don't like picking the lesser of the two evils." You do that in every part of your life. Name me a part of your life that we don't pick the lesser of evils. When we go get jobs, we picking the lesser of evils. What job gonna pay the most? What I like the best? That got a good location. That's more secure. The lesser of the evils. When you're picking your partner, your soulmate, whoever you're gonna marry in life. For the guys, she got a fat booty. She's height I want her to be. You know, she looks good. She looks like I want her to look. Got the traits I want her to have. Same thing with the girls. He's tall, dark, and handsome. I mean, he got all the traits that I want him to have. Picking the lesser of the two evils. Because a woman is a woman, a man is a man. Period. We see job, relationship. What else? You can't pick your family, man. Can't do that. But just about any and everything you'll get into, you're picking the lesser of the evils. So when it come down to, oh, this is why I don't vote. People try to come up with the most legitimate things they can say that be so fucking illegitimate. It's just fucking crazy. I don't like to pick the lesser of the evils. And when you do that shit every day, don't protest the government. Government all up in your life all day, every day, always have been. Meaning everything when you walk on the sidewalk, that's government. Streets, that's government. Having babies, that's government. Can't escape it. But you'll find a reason. So, as I told y'all this voting season, so I'm advocating that you vote. I can't tell you who to vote for. I can tell you who I get down with, but I can't tell you who to vote for. Vote your interest. Your interest. Stop that woke shit. That shit is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If you a family and you know that you need medical and you need to have an answer for if anybody gets sick in your family, then you know who to vote for. I ain't even gotta tell you. A whole group of people voted 76 times. So the average American don't have no damn medical. You know who that is. So, if you LGBTQ, whatever they got going on, you know who like you and who don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So vote your interest. Don't get on no bandwagon because somebody else mad at somebody. They want you to be mad at them. Don't be like that. Because you don't know what their personal vendetta is against whatever group. All I ask is for you to vote. Don't let these people's lives be in vain. Even the ones that are still with us. Don't let their lives be in vain. That's all. I segued into that. And I'm going to do that a lot. There's voting season. So we was talking about Jarrell Big Baby Miller. And I was like, remember, he been out of there for a minute. And that's been ever since the Ruiz and Joshua fight. Because remember, he was slated to fight Joshua and he popped dirty on the test. And he lost his opportunity. He got caught with those banned substances in his system. He messed up an opportunity to become a millionaire. Now, I don't know if he made enough money to call himself a millionaire. I didn't think he was a millionaire. I thought he was a thousandaire at best. But he was slated to make $7 million. I don't know if y'all remember that. Now, we all out here in these boxing community, we've roasted his ass. We was like, how dumb. And yes, he go in the same category with me as Canelo. And trust me, this ain't me repping him. But I guess I gotta be happy for him that he got to fight June 23rd. Because he was not catching favor for years. He hasn't been catching no favor. But the phrase same energy applies. And that's what I'm talking about. So June 1st, 2019 is when he missed this opportunity. He just now getting back. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. He might have been back before this, but I'm thinking he just now getting back. Miller failed 3 tests. And somebody might want to throw that out there like, Miss T, it ain't just one test. That wasn't his first time up. I think they tested him 3 times. That means he failed the A sample and the B sample. So did Canelo. And they might have tested him a 3rd time. Maybe he did get an opportunity to possibly get a fight and he failed that test too. But the point is he failed those tests. So he goes on my shit list too. And think about this. And remember this. Because we got Usyk and AJ coming up August 20th. And I'm not that big of a fan of AJ. I don't hate AJ. Nice guy. Nice looking guy. I'm not a big fan of him because I really do feel no matter what the circumstances were, I do feel like in some kind of way he was scared to fight Wilder and he was ducking a little bit. When Miller fell out, AJ could have replaced him with Wilder. Now I do remember that because Wilder, I believe, was available. They could have replaced him. I'm like 95% sure on that one. Now, out of everybody he picked Ruiz because he thought he had a tomato can. Now, Ruiz is an excellent fighter. He can box. He really can. He got skills. but he's sloppy looking. He's not sellable. And this is why a lot of people didn't really want to roll with him. This is why Bob probably dropped him. He just fat, nasty looking. That's what I mean. It is what it is. You're not an ugly person, Ruiz. I'm not saying that. Talking about Andy Ruiz, but you do look fat, nasty, sloppy. But out of everybody that Joshua could pick, all the heavyweights is laying around, he picked Ruiz, who was at the time ranked number 5 with the WBA, ranked number 11 with the WBO, and ranked number 14 with the IBF. And these were the belts that Joshua held. You don't think that Joshua could have picked somebody better than him or higher ranking than Ruiz? Just add to the fuel of when I be saying I believe Joshua's he fights scared. He's scared of fighting sometimes. And in boxing, if you have scary feelings, you might want to pick another career. Ruiz was a 25-1 underdog. And make no mistakes, I'm not repping Big Baby Miller because I'm talking about Ruiz, all kind of in the same vein. You know, Ruiz is out there looking like he's sipping on some shit too. All this years he couldn't drop his weight, but all of a sudden he go down there with Canelo team and voila. Okay, but as I said, if you don't get caught, I ain't really got nothing to say. But the powers that be get involved, and they was just throwing anything at us. And this was the height of throwing anything at us, making a killing off of the bullshit they was throwing at us until we all collectively just been complaining. And you see slightly, you do see a course correction. But that was a hellified punishment that Big Baby Miller got. And again, I'm not repping him, but I do believe in same energy. Because 2019, 3 years ago. June 1st, 2019, 3 years ago. And it's been that hard for him to come back. These fighters who keep getting 6 months as a punishment, or as we call it, an award, getting awarded 6 months suspension, shit like that. That's a slap on the wrist. I started off early showing you Floyd Mayweather's box rec. Floyd Mayweather in his career could ill afford a 6 month suspension. That would have definitely affected his bottom line in his career as well as his money. But these fighters these days getting 6 month suspensions as if that's doing something. It's not doing anything. Proving again that the suits are winning. They keep winning. But we got to keep pointing these things out. We got to keep talking about it because we got to make that course correction. Macadocious Mac of the South is in the building with Papa King. He says, salute the lovely and beautiful Madame Queen, Miss T. Salute to you too. Now, my thumbnail was if you speak it, you shall receive it, because I was talking about Yardy. But a subtopic could be how the suits. We got to peep game when the suits overstep their bounds, in our opinion, but how they're able to keep doing it right in front of our face. And when I'm talking about this 6 months slapping the wrist, look at what happened recently with Berlanga. Look at the casual way or flippant way that he tried to explain that. He was like, yeah, I bit his ass. Yup. Like there's ever a reason that you can give for biting somebody in the ring. He thought it was one. Yeah, I bit him. Throwing them damn elbows. That's Berlanga. Now Berlanga is humming. He cleaning that shit up now. I kind of spoke too soon. I'm paraphrasing. I kind of misspoke. I was in the moment. That's why I said what I said. I was in the moment. That was his excuse. That's his excuse. But he should be sat down for a minute. It has to have teeth. They have to feel it. And time is of the essence in the boxing world. Time is money. Meaning you could ill afford to just be sitting on the shelf. But they gotta feel their punishment. The ref wasn't calling the elbows. But that happens all the time. That come with the territory. When you went back to your corner and the ref be going back and forth to people's corner, this means, hey ref, can you pay attention? Motherfucking throwing elbows. Come on now. Ref, I bit my tongue. I'm bleeding through my tongue. Maybe the ref would be like, oh, okay, let me make sure I'm looking. He didn't even do that. He just went right into, I'm gonna bite you. I don't know where they do that at. Then he was flipping about it. But they suspended him 6 months and they fined him. I forgot what was it, 10,000. It was some kind of amount of money. He'll get over it. He didn't do nothing but give him a vacation. He could have took that shit, even if you didn't give it to him. He could have been on them shits on that damn time, whether you gave it to him or not. It doesn't affect him. That means he fought once this year. He could be back fighting at the end of this year. Ooh, how did you hurt him? Sure, he got 10,000 to give up. But see, Berlanga is getting exposed. But see how the suits are so heavily invested in him. So I'll be saying, peep game. Berlanga he's appeasing to the eye. He's not a white man, but he's appeasing to the eye, to them, the powers that be. Because they putting the cart before the horse. He get a little bit higher level competition, and he get exposed. And Gula is what, 39, 38? The guy he just fought? And he was having a hard time with him. And you could tell he was befuddled. He had to really think deep. I mean, he stuck to the game plan. He kept boxing. So that carried the day. But shit, he could have easily been out of there. He could have really easily, if he got caught a couple of more times. Then Gula seemed like he was the heavy hitter. But his 6 month suspension, that ain't shit. And look, it's been 3 years for Big Baby Miller. Going against the grain of the rules in boxing should carry stiff punishments. Because again, boxing is not letting you play, it's what you do. Fighters fight two fights a year anyway, so that's why I say, what is a 6 month penalization do? And I'm going backwards as far as recent times. Oscar Valdez, nothing happened to him. He was able to keep his fight, keep his belt, and he didn't win that fight, and they gave him the fight until he ran up on Shakur Stevens. Oh, you won't keep your shit when you did that. But Oscar Valdez got caught. They did nothing. Nothing. You got Canelo Alvarez. He got caught. And they even reversed his shit. But it was in his system. And they suspended him. He still came back and fought the Triple G fight. Made the money he made. And got the progress he got. But Big Baby Miller had 3 years in them streets. What's the difference? What is really the difference? They're all rule breakers. One got a stiffer punishment than the other. This has nothing to do with boxing, but y'all know it's 1 or 2 black cops out there that had accidentally shot, at least by their words, somebody. some white person. And guess what? The law took care of their ass. They went to jail. And everybody knew, like one of the cases, they know that dude was golly sorry. That was a straight the one that killed the foreigner. Golly sorry. But he got to pay. That's fair. But all the other people, the so-called accidentally shoot an unarmed person, we get real creative with the rules. And that's how I see this boxing shit going. Real creative with the rules with people that you like, people that you think are inferior to you, or that has no value, or you take them for significant, take them to be insignificant. All of that shit go out the windows. I remember when I was a kid and I used to sneak and try to watch Richard Pryor. I'm a paraphrase. He was talking about living in a high rise, and it was one of them highfalutin buildings, but they had a doorman during the day or whatever. And on the HOA of that community was like, look, if they don't got that key or whatever, we can't just let them in. They got to go through the proper channels. And it's probably a headache. You probably got to contact security, do some other shit or whatever the fuck. And he was talking about how his white neighbors, if he ever forgot his key, like if he took out the trash, they'd be like, yo, John, hey, I left my key inside. Can you let me in? And they'll just keep on walking past, like, read the sign, like we're not building the rules for you. But in the same breath, reverse that situation. They be like, hey, guy, hey, I forgot my key. Can you let me in? That's what I be thinking about. How they just do the rules. We got to keep advocating for the fighters. But for us as fans, don't let the suits, the powers that be, take over and ruin it. Always doing what they want to do because they're messing it up. Tay is in the building. Was popping, King? He said, Yardy going to get stopped and badly. I don't why people think he got a chance. Oh, I'm assuming that you can't think. He believes he got a chance. He's spoken and he got it, Tay. That's the thing that's crazy. This man, days before or the day of the fight between Beterbiev and Joe Smith, said, I want the winner of I want next. I want the winner of these two. And I'll be damned, he gonna get him. He gonna get it. Because according to Frank Warren and Bob Arum, October 22nd, Beterbiev and Yardy having the fight. When clearly the most rational and logical next step would be Bivol and Yardy. And Bivol, you can make that October 22nd fight. They can both make that October 22nd fight. They both have expressed that they want undisputed. That means they want to fight each other. But the suits ain't going to let that go down. Because, as I say, it ain't Yardy that's standing in the way of, I know Tay, you say his name Yard, but I like saying Yardy. It ain't him that's standing in the way of Bivol and Beterbiev. It's really Canelo. It's what Canelo wants. Canelo not doing nothing nefarious or malicious by being a barrier between that. It's what he wants. Even in a loss, he's still a man. Because he's appeasing to the eye. Because he got the protection for the collection. You understand? So that's what I'm seeing. If Canelo comes back and says he don't want that rematch with Bivol, then I think the floodgates will be open for Beterbiev to go ahead and get that matchup with Bivol and one of them become undisputed. However, if contracts are signed and he already locked into Yardy, then we just have to wait till next year. Which we shouldn't. We're in that era of everybody going for the Super Bowl, the legacy fights, the glory, the undisputed. And we should continue on that course, especially when people are early in their careers. But like I said, Canelo, if you just want to linger out there and just do money fights, I'm not even mad at that. Because you cemented yourself. You planted your flag for God and country in these boxing streets. You did. You're a champion in multiple weight classes. You have become undisputed. You will be a Hall of Famer. You will be. You have an asterisk though beside your name. So in the end, y'all, I'd be like, what's the difference? What is the difference? That's the question. Now, I want to get out some stuff I have wrote yesterday that I didn't get a chance to put out. Kambosos has activated his rematch clause with Devin Haney. He's back to hyping it up, saying it's going to be a big thing. I told y'all yesterday that Berlanga was penalized for biting his opponent. He was suspended for 6 months, and I think he was fined as well. Looking for that. Wrote it down. No, I still wrote it. Oh yeah, New York State Athletic Commission. Yeah, so did not know boxing commission, not know it's the state of New York. Charged him $10,000. And he flippantly said he did it because of retaliation. He was retaliating for repeatedly getting elbowed. But he is suspended from the day of that fight, which is June 11th, to December 11th. He can't fight before then. So who else was right there? We talked about Bivol and all that was before them right now. Y'all know Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz is set for September 4th this year, and it's a Fox pay-per-view. Why, I don't know. But Ortiz's last fight was pay-per-view with Martin. That was a good little knockout. As he hit him, had him staring out in the audience. He was talking to somebody. Martin was talking to somebody after he got clocked by Ortiz. Ortiz has shown age to me. He's shown that he's aged, but they say power is the last to go. So he's still dangerous. But I say if he can still squeeze out some money, by all means, necessary. But it's supposed to be on the Sunday. Why? I don't know. I don't know if it's done through Triller or whatever. Um Triller's supposed to be coming out with some new standing 8 count rules. I read that somewhere. Or whatever the case may be. But I didn't have much to put out, you guys. Coming in the future. I always tell you guys about my Sunday show and who I'm working with. I'm working with a handful of people. Like I say, I put together recipes for people based on what they say ails them. I'm not a doctor. I don't negate anything a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Look at my girl Yogi. What's poppin', Queen? To pull your head out the books, pull your nose out the books. Tell them Miss T just stopping by to say hello. What's up, girl? What's up, Queen? But yeah, a couple people I'm working with. And this time, I asked the person, I said, yo, you gotta give me a testimony. And they was actually agreeable to it. So sometime, sometime, and I know Yogi, I know your ass been studying. I like, let me leave this girl alone. I know I don't even how to see you on Facebook, girl. Um, this time I asked my I'm gonna call him my client. I asked him, can you give a testimony? Um, because I really want y'all to see and hear. Me and ATL was talking about it yesterday when we was talking about different diets or different approaches to eating. And just because you diet don't mean, every time you hear the word diet, they ain't got all the time got something to do with losing weight. But that's what people mostly think. So I'm not here to change your mind, tomato. I'm just telling you, uh, give it some leeway that it could mean something else too. It ain't necessarily diet could be a change in life. Just how you approach things. Don't necessarily always mean, oh, I'm losing weight or I got to do that. Because that's not what I get into it for. I get into building recipes and routines and regimens for people to address their health needs. Because you are the sum of your experience, and the sum of my experience teaches me that you need to be mindful of your health. especially when you're young. That's when you should jump on it. But when you're young, I'm understanding of the pitfalls and roadblocks and barriers that get in the way of being mindful of your health. And I'm very understanding and accommodating to them because it's only human nature. When you're young, if you remember back when you were in your early 20s, young people think that they're invincible. It's a trait that when you get older, you don't like it. But when you're younger, that is exactly how you are. You think you're invincible. Nothing can get you. Don't worry, I got it. I can stay up every day. All night. Man, I used to stay up. I used to club as much as there was gonna be a club open every fucking day, and still get up and go to work all day, and turn right around, take a power nap, and do it again. Ask me, can I do that shit today? Hell to the no. Yo, you laugh out loud. Birdman is in the building. What's Papa King? I've been in here the whole time. It's T. Salute, Queen. Salute to you. Hey, Birdman, I've been meaning to get in touch with you. Have you started? You already know what I'm asking. I'm gonna just leave it like that. Let me know. Got me over here anxious, man. But but this new guy I'm talking about, he said he would come in sometime in July. Sometime in July. And I think I can tell you right now the success at this point, good Lord. Good Lord, like a 180. But it's gonna be that much more bigger um next month. I give sometime in July, I don't know. I don't know what exact date, but he promised to come and give his testimony. So that's a treat for you guys. So y'all can hear from where he started. And like in a month's time, like the only thing that has held him up thus far is that this one device that I asked you to get that he just got. He just got it. I don't know why it took that long because I really don't have an answer for that. But um just got it. So I would like a whole month with that one thing I asked him to get. Um, but in the meantime, in between time, we had to make an alternative plan, which was close or similar to the original plan, but it's not quite the plan. Ah, look at you. Birdman said I started Sunday and I'm down 3 pounds. I hear you, King. I hear you. Yeah, y'all gonna see. And so to that too, like I said, I do a Sunday show when I talk mostly about this stuff, but I've said everything I can say unless I got something more significant, or I'll start up the process again soon. But all you got, if you want to go back and watch all my shows like that, they got the Apple icon. You can go back and watch them, and you can hear about what set me on this path, why I fell into this pitfall, why I'm doing what I'm doing. But Monday through Friday, I will take liberty to actually talk about new things. Like I can tell you right now, I just made a concoction that stimulates hair growth. And again, the information is out there. The information, this tea don't make up nothing. I don't want y'all to think that I'm sitting here. Because one thing I'm not is conceited or arrogant. I can be arrogant when it comes to intelligence. I ain't gonna lie about that. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I'm not really an arrogant person or a conceited person. So what I mean by arrogance, like when I know something, I know something. You will know I know something. Is the way I carry it. But if I don't know nothing, I don't say nothing. But as far as like what I'm doing, or why I went this route, um sometimes I'm just like I inadvertently stumbled onto all of this stuff. It was for selfish reasons, as I will maintain and say that all the time. But sometimes, you know, um, I'm saying this because as you hear me talk about it more, Like you'll hear people interject and say, "Hey, did you eat this? Or you should try this, or you should whatever." And I'm like, "Look, I have my system set up, not to be rude or anything. Like I always tell you, there's a thousand ways to skin a cat. I'm skinning it this way. If I, if you could come in and say you should do this and add this, and then do I even have a system? Because at that point, me and you are building something from scratch right there. But I've already built it. And I'm just telling you, the information I have is not nothing new. Some of you guys, if I work with you, you're gonna say, I knew this, I knew about this mistake. But some people don't connect the dots. Like I'm gonna say this thing that it kind of messed me up. And shout outs to Tracy Bowler for peeping me the game so many years ago, like when I was in my early 20s. Y'all remember a time, because I don't even know if they still sell this in the store, because I don't buy the shit and haven't since I was like 22. But y'all remember a time that people used to take meat tenderizer and sprinkle it on their meat as they prepping their meat, like they seasoning their meat before they fry it, bake it, or whatever. And they used to put meat tenderizer on that shit, especially things like steaks. And one day I was cooking in front of him. Tracy could cook his ass off. Ooh, when I tell you, Tracy Bowler from Tennessee. If you listening, shout out Tracy, man. I ain't that's look, it's been so long. I still have not forgot your cooking. Man, that boy could grill and cook. Oh Lord. Anyway, so I was cooking in front of him, and we was all like a bunch of us was hanging, and I was calling myself cooking, and I'm sprinkling meat tenderizer on the meat, and he said, "Why you doing that?" No, don't do that. Don't put it on mine either. I was like, "Why?" He said, what do meat tenderizer do? I said, tenderizes the meat. That's what you want. You want your meat to be tenderized and all that, so it can be good when you cook it. And he said, what you got inside you? And I just stopped. And man, my bottom lip dropped, of course. Because I'm like, man, if meat tenderizing the meat you about to cook, what you think it's doing to you in the inside? I know some of y'all bottom lip just dropped too. But there was a time where everybody used meat tenderizer. Again, I haven't seen anybody use that in a while. A great, excellent cook can cook without doing that. Like my mom could cook her ass off. She don't got to do no special effects and nothing. This is the way she cooks. I don't know how she got that meat be juicy and good, whatever. She can cook. But some people back in the day, like I said, I used to do it. Put meat tenderizer. I don't do it no more. I haven't since he said that. I might have saved myself from a lot. Even though I tell you guys, we're not carnivores, but I like to eat meat. I have always liked to eat meat. But this person that I'm helping right now, I ain't gonna talk too much about his condition, but he has diabetes, and I told him I'll do it with him. So I'm doing the whole process with him, side by side. We talk every day, side by side. When he's done, this is what I promised him. I said, we we will have like gotten you out of type 2 diabetes. Because if you have type 2 diabetes, you can always get rid of it. It's one of the like if you got type 1, you can't. You're born with it, you stuck with it. Type 2, you can always get rid of just by changing your approach to food. And that's the goal. He will not be diabetic when I'm done with him. And I'm gonna do it in record time. But he just got his thing that we're gonna do all this stuff with. He just got it. And so I told him about a month. And I can tell you the alternative, I'm telling you, he's made such improvements. It's I mean, I haven't heard anybody have this much improvements, and it's been 2 weeks. So I'm just saying, He's gonna come on. Look forward to that in July. Now, if he changes his mind, that's his prerogative. Because people can only give their testimony. But anybody I work with, please, please, please give your testimony. You know, there's some things I agree with out there, and some things I don't. There's a thousand ways to skin a cat or skin a fish. Um, I will say anything that you do, drink your water. I always say it at the beginning of my show. Y'all know we advocate for at least 100 ounces of water a day. Telling you, whatever you're doing, whether you're dieting or not, none of that shit gonna work without water. You have to drink your water and change our mindset on water weight. Don't even that notion of, oh, I lost it. This was water weight, or I gained this water weight. Man, you can put that water that you think you lost back in your system by washing your hands and face in the sink or taking a shower. And you notice I ain't even say nothing about what you drinking. So don't just let that one go with the water weight. Because I've even used it in my lifetime. That's water weight. Now, mm-mm. And then you got to ask yourself, if you do an approach, if you change your approach, do it come back fast or do it come back slow? And my way, the way I develop it, again, I ain't the only one out here like this. And I do say people can get on my program and they can go further than what I ever did. But my way, um, it'll take you to reverse course just as long as it took you to get there in the first place. So, I know a lot of people do certain things, and as soon as they stop doing it, everything come back with a vengeance. Not mine. Mine is legitimate, real deal, Holyfield improvement. Not mine. And so you never want to be saying a guarantee, but I have to be like I'm guaranteeing. You know what I'm saying? I 9.9, then I'll say it like that. I guarantee if it don't work, like ATL said yesterday, if it don't work because you didn't do it, I guarantee that. But again, I'm not a doctor, and the information that I know and how I do things, it's out there. But good luck putting it together. It took me this long, and I'm a smart person. It took me till I was in my 40s to figure this shit out. Not like they didn't lie to us. They lied. The way they lie to us is when they omit shit. That's the biggest lie when it come to your health out here in America streets. It's the omission of shit. But the shit is out there for you to know. It's just, again, putting it together. Just like what I just said about the meat tenderizer thing. Who'd have thought it? It never even dawned on my mind, but I always knew that shit tenderized meat. I just didn't put two and two together to say, but damn, my insides are meat. I just never put two and two together. So that's what I mean by the information is out there, but connecting the dots sometimes because it's either information overload or omissions, or the bright shining object over here. And then, like I said, when once we get a testimony, people gonna want to know more and more and more. But I would tell you guys, I'm not being mean or anything. People say you should do this or you should. No, I did it the way I wanted to do it. I got it. Trust me. Anything you could tell me, I probably already looked into it. But again, it was for selfish reasoning. I was tired of taking what I call a million pills a day to live. Tired of doing that. So I found a way to get that same medicine, but through eating. And that's my approach. Because a healthy body is a body that's on fleek. Anyway, that's all I have for y'all today. And I will see y'all tomorrow. But remember, when you know better, you do what? Do better. So thank y'all for listening and watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on replay, leave a comment. I'm open. I listen. I read all y'all comments. I'm still T though, but I'm open. Anyway, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.